Building an email newsletter can seem like an uphill battle. Many find it tough to break beyond their first few dozen or their first 100 subscribers. And often that's because your first few dozen subscribers are your friends and family, but eventually you have to attract strangers. So how do you do that? How do you convince strangers to join your email list? Well, there's a method that's surprisingly effective that we've been using for years and years, and yet I have never talked about it on the podcast. At least I've never given it its own episode. And that is giveaways, specifically hosting your own giveaway. So how do you do that? Find out on this episode of the Novel Marketing Podcast, the longest running book marketing podcast in the world. I'm Thomas Umstattd Jr., and we have a guest on the show today who grew her email list to over 7,000 subscribers before her first book came out using this method. That's right. You don't have to be a published author to grow your list this way. She's a romance author now and the host of the Christian Romance Podcast. Kelly Jo Wilson, welcome to the Novel Marketing Podcast.
Hi, Thomas. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So tell us about how you first started growing your list of romance readers.
I wanted to really try to bless my readers, and also having some experience in a prior podcast, I thought maybe it would make sense to start a podcast in my genre, which is Christian romance. Of course, following your wonderful teachings, I started doing a little bit of research and just looking at what was out there and what pain point this would really remedy in a lot of authors and readers. Readers always are looking, especially romance readers, want to know, what do I read next? And they love tropes, and a lot of them really want to have new to them authors as well. And then authors are always looking for fresh new ways to reach readers. So I thought, you know what, let's do a themed book giveaway every month. So I started kind of planning that out. And the very first month was July that I had launched, late July. And I had reached out to a few authors, just kind of cold with a little bit of a pitch that you help formulate from your prior episodes and as well as your courses. And thankfully, the first author that I pitched was like, yes, Kelly, I'd love to be on your show. And one of her books was also in the giveaway, but I like to do the theme giveaway. So for July, it was Patriotic Love. And I chose 5 physical books. And in that giveaway, the way that I was able to share that giveaway and make it really seamless was by using KingSumo. And the KingSumo app is really helpful because it kind of guides you. It has some of the rules in there you wouldn't really know to kind of put in there yourself. And also for collecting email addresses and things, it kind of guides you through the app to be able to set that up. It also lets you know that you should have a nice visual, like have an image on there. And so once I put that together and set it up for the readers to be able to get 5 physical books, which I plan to send. I love ebook giveaways, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's just something really special about getting a gift in the mail, especially that you won. It's all prettied up, especially for our romance. I'm a romance reader myself, so especially for that, like I put in extra little goodies in there, extra bookmarks and fun little things. And the first giveaway went off wonderful. The person who won was so super excited. She took pictures and she sent it back to me. And it just was absolutely wonderful. So ever since then, since July, I've been doing that. And ever since then, each month, I do a new themed giveaway. And I will try to put in the author's books that I've interviewed that month. I try to include them in the giveaway too. And if not that month, a later month, and just send it out. I send it out to my email list, and I have the guests share the link to the giveaway, and it's just been absolutely wonderful. It's just a wonderful blessing.
And one of the cool things about KingSumo is that it incentivizes sharing for the attendees. So you enter to win, but you can get additional entries to win if you get your friends to sign up as well. So it's a viral contest in that regard. And going to what you're talking about the physical reward, the more that the prize feels valuable, the more appealing It is. If the prize is a free chapter of your book, no one's going to sign up for the contest. If the prize is a free ebook copy of your one book that they could get on Amazon for $4.99, that's not very valuable either. But if it's a signed copy, if it's a physical copy, if it's a collection of books, the more generous the prize, the more people you'll attract. But you have to be careful here, because the temptation is to be like, oh, well, I'll just give away an iPad. I'll give away a Kindle. But now you're attracting fans of iPads and fans of Kindles. And what you attract somebody with is what you're attracting somebody to. If you're trying to attract Christian romance readers, giving away Christian romance books is a really good prize. And the technique that Kelly's using right here of starting a podcast on her genre to build relationships with other authors in her genre is a very reproducible technique. A lot of authors are like, I don't know any of the top authors in my genre. And it's like, start a podcast. Start interviewing them. Help them with what they want, which is book promotion. Right? Kelly was all nervous about inviting the first author to come on her podcast. But you know who's really excited to go on a podcast and promote their book? Authors, even famous authors. In fact, that famous author who might be blowing you off, if you reach out to that person's PR person, suddenly they are answering the phone and being on your podcast because the PR person is putting pressure on them to get out there and promote their book.
Absolutely. And that's how it happened too, because I reached out to the first author. At first, a few, I did send out a couple, and most everybody said, yes, wonderful. And with each author, I would ask them if they wouldn't mind. I have a guest application if they would like to share it with somebody they feel would be a good fit for the show. And the first author that I interviewed shared the guest application in an author group that she was in. And I had so many bookings after that just from her. And then from one of those bookings, she shared it with a publicity manager of her publishing house. So now I have a relationship with that publicity manager, and the publishing house was a larger publishing house with two like sub publishers underneath. So now there's two publicity managers that I talk to frequently, and they just send their authors the link to my Calendly so they can just book whenever they have new books coming out, which they always have new books coming out, which I am so happy about because I love to read them, but I also love to talk to them. And it just really is blessing everybody all around.
Which is another perk of hosting a podcast in your genre is that you get free books in that genre. But this is not the you should start a podcast episode, although you should totally start a podcast, and I have other episodes on that. So let's get really into the blocking and tackling of KingSumo, because some of the people listening to this have never heard of KingSumo before, and they're only kind of vaguely aware of how it works. So you sign up for KingSumo, a free account with KingSumo or a paid account. It's not particularly expensive, which is one of the things I like about it. And I'll have an affiliate link for those of you who want to get the paid version. But let's say you signed up for a free account. What's the next step for creating a giveaway or a contest?
They make it so unbelievably easy. All I did was sign up for the account, and then you'll see like a dashboard. They have a dashboard there, and then you can just hit create. And whenever you hit that create, it will pull up, you start the giveaway right there. And they also can give you some examples. There's some tutorials that they have, so they can give you some examples as well, but it's really simple. And then once I basically use the same format each time. I saved the initial format in a Word doc, and I just change up the wording a little bit each month because it's pretty much the same thing and like the same headings that I'll use. It's pretty simple to kind of work through it. Now, I would say at first it probably took me maybe about 20 minutes to half an hour to really create it and feel comfortable with it. That's not including like making the graphic for the giveaway. A good graphic, we're just such a visual people, especially nowadays with internet and everything. So you want to have a really good visual.
For that, you take a picture of the physical books like on a table?
No, I actually pull the pictures of the books. Most of the time I pull them off of Amazon. I save the image just because I know that Amazon formats them at a good quality. If it's like, say, for example, I did Winter Hearts as a giveaway and I put it in the background, like a snowy background with like a heart behind it. But the books are kind of front and center, so you can see them pretty clear.
So the theme, you're communicating with the stock photo in the background, and then you're featuring the individual books in the foreground.
Exactly.
And
yes.
I should point out here, because I don't think I clarified this enough, you don't have to get the books from the publisher or the author. There's nothing keeping you from just buying the books, the physical books on Amazon and giving them away. It's perfectly legal to do this. You can buy a book and give it away as a prize. So don't feel like you have to do the podcast part and then building the relationship with the publishers part. Now, a lot of authors, if they know you're doing a giveaway, might send you a signed copy or sign a copy if you mail it to them. But you don't have to do that. You can just order a brand new copy from Amazon.
I love that you pointed that out, because I tell the authors I have definitely bought way more books than I have been sent. And I look at that as blessing the author, so I don't worry about that one bit. It is nice, don't get me wrong, to get the books from the publishers, because it does give you a little bit more leeway. However, I don't use much advertising. So the way I look at that is if I'm spending, say, $50, $60 on books in a month, that's going to buy from an author that in turn is going to be giving them away to a reader. That kind of is my advertising, because let me just tell you, the readers and the winners are so excited when they get their book box. And I felt so bad because sometimes I'm a little bit late. Sometimes I'm waiting for them to come in or whatever happens. So I'm like emailing back and forth, and they're so gracious. But either way, it's such a wonderful service to both sides. But yes, I agree with Thomas.
So creating the graphic, I think, is probably the most important thing, because most people won't read your title and description. They'll just skim it very quickly. It is important to have that. You set your start date and your end date for the campaign itself. And then how do you pick your winner, right? Do you have to, print out the names and draw them from a hat? Or actually, no, KingSumo does that for you. It's got a pick a winner button that will randomly select a winner from the entries, which is a really nice friction reducer.
Absolutely. And, I've also had sometimes when I'll send it out, because I send out the giveaway to my email list, and sometimes I may not have somebody respond right away. So that has happened where I've had to reward another person, and it does allow you to do that as well. It's not like you can just pick one. It does allow you to reward another person. Now, I do give people a lot of time to be able to send it back, and I do check the junk email, because sometimes it goes in there, unfortunately, because I would not, oh my gosh, I would feel so bad if somebody won and then I'm like rewarding somebody else. But it does give you that option, which is very nice. And it's very easy. It's like Thomas said, a click of a button.
The first time I used KingSumo, I think this is the first time, I was working as the marketing director for a publishing company. And I convinced the owner of the company to create a super bundle of all of their fantasy books, all of their fantasy and sci-fi books. So all of the ebooks were worth like $500. It was like this super duper bundle, but it didn't cost us much to deliver because it was all ebooks. And that one competition, that one giveaway, doubled the publisher's total email list size in one giveaway.
Wow,
like,
that's
this
amazing.
is such a now that was a really attractive prize, right? It's $500 value prize. And so the more valuable the prize, the more effective the giveaway will be. But it's an indication of just what an effective tactic this is, because it's fun. People love to enter to win. There's a reason why corporate America has been doing this for years and years and years. Now, there are some laws that you need to be aware of. They cannot pay to enter. If people buy a ticket to win a prize, there's a word for that. It's called gambling. And conducting gambling across state lines is a big, big, big no-no in the United States. So it's why you'll notice every time you see an ad saying, enter to win, such and such sweepstakes, there's always a phrase, no purchase necessary. So the no purchase necessary is critical for avoiding going to jail for gambling or racketeering or whatever else the old-timey laws are against that sort of thing.
I may have to put that underneath now.
Well, you're not asking. I don't think you have to use that phrase, because at no point are you asking for a purchase.
True.
The reason why you'll see it is like, you're buying a box of Cheerios and it's like, enter to win a free college graduation for your toddler or whatever. And they'll say no purchase necessary. And typically there's some long convoluted process to like fill out a postcard and mail it to the corporation to be entered to win without making a purchase. But the easier way to do it is by buying the product. That's the corporate way to get around this. So, all right, so we have our graphic. We have the title and the description. We have one of the things KingSumo allows you to do is it allows you to put the total value of the giveaway. So you add up the retail value of all of the books, and which actually can add up pretty quickly, especially in this is one way there's a little bit of arbitrage because hopefully you're getting your books at least at some kind of discount on Amazon. But you put the retail price of the books, you add them up, so it's $50, $70, whatever. And then the bare minimum for promotion is to send it to your email list. The next step up, if you have a podcast, is to mention it, which I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a giveaway to demonstrate this. I'm going to give away my Author Email Academy. So it's a $500 course on growing your email list. So this is just one tactic of many tactics we talk about in the Author Email Academy. So you can enter to win and also see how the contest works. And I also encourage you to enter one of Kelly's contests if you're even remotely interested in Christian romance. To see how it works. So if you have a podcast, you promote it like I just did. You email it out. But the next step up is where you advertise that giveaway to strangers. And this is what we did at Enclave Publishing. I believe I connected an advertising campaign to that giveaway where we were targeting strangers on Facebook and they were signing up. And what's really wonderful about that is that people live in little bubbles, little ponds, all their friends are friends with each other, and advertising allows you to find new ponds. And if you can find just one person in a new pond who's excited about the giveaway, and then they invite all of their friends, that one click from the Facebook ad might bring in more than one person to your list, which is an accelerator, but it's also a cost accelerator. So you have to be careful. I wouldn't do it I wouldn't spend money on ads for your first giveaway. But as you play with this, you may find that a little bit of advertising goes a long way.
Yeah, I definitely plan to spend some money on ads. I'm definitely not afraid of that. I will say I am trying a new thing, and it's more just about coordination. And now that the podcast has been going for about 9 months and has a little bit of traction, that I now am trying to structure the giveaway to be most of the books that are in it, whatever the theme is. I do like the theme. I think the theme is really fun, and I get good feedback from the winners that the theme is really fun. So I am going to try to, moving forward, I'm going to try to have most of the books in the giveaway, because some of them aren't authors that I've interviewed. Some of them just go along with the theme. And I also take feedback from a specific Facebook group that has a lot of Christian fiction readers in it. And it's extremely helpful because I just ask a question in the Facebook group and, what are your favorite Christian romance books about patriotic love or, military or something? And then they give wonderful feedback, which is fantastic. I want to try to incorporate the authors who I've interviewed because they are more than willing and very happy to share with their email lists. So that's what I just did for this past month for this giveaway running for March. And it was very good. It was very helpful. It gathered more people that were not on my email list to the giveaway. And I'm excited to see who wins.
So you select the winner. You email them saying, hey, you're the winner. Please send me your address. You wait a few days. They either get back to you or you select the next person. But now you've got this big list of people who've entered to win who didn't win. And so what you can do is you can export that as a CSV from KingSumo. Then you import it into your email program. You can tag all those people so you can know who they are. One of the things I like to do is I like to give people who didn't win a consolation prize, some sort of gift that's like, hey, sorry you didn't win, but here's something anyway. And it helps plug them in. So a real easy thing to do here is everybody who didn't win the paper books from the famous authors, that you add them to your list and you're also like, and here's a consolation prize. It's my short story. That's another patriotic love story or whatever, but written by me. And now you've got all these people reading your fiction, which starts to introduce them to your writing and kind of introduce them to your literary world.
That's a great idea. I do that. I wonder if I should reframe it now that you say, thank you for entering, because I do give them a free reader magnet. And it is a novella that I wrote that is in my story world that is within the same world that my upcoming novel is in. So, but yeah, maybe I should reframe it. Thank you, Thomas.
Reframing it as a consolation prize goes a long way, because
Yeah.
now it feels more valuable because they won it as a prize. Do you ask the people who won to like share a photo of them in the books, and you use that as kind of a way of getting people excited for the next month?
I don't ask them to, but they have. And they have asked me like what my Instagram handle is so that they can share on Instagram. I thought about maybe asking because it is fun and I love for them to be able to celebrate because it's something that, you know, they're the winner and it's not every day that we're winning something so different and unique. So maybe, yeah, in the future, I will say if you feel comfortable, you can share a picture. That would be lovely. And you can tag me here.
And it may also be a credibility builder if you send it to your email list so they know somebody did win.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's always a question I have. Because some of these corporate contests, like hosted by McDonald's or whatever, nobody necessarily wins, right? So McDonald's will do a Monopoly thing, right? And they'll give away 1 million boardwalk little stickers, but there's only like 2 or 3 Park Place stickers in the country. And if the people who didn't peel it off or didn't realize that they had the valuable Park Place sticker may have never cashed in, and so they never have to pay out that prize. And so most people don't realize that. Most people enter to win anyway, but sharing, hey, here's some photos of people who are winning, helps give people confidence in entering the next time. With your tactic right now, just talking about it on your podcast and promoting it to the list that you already have, and asking the authors to promote it to their lists, which is not insignificant. How many signups are you getting per contest right now?
I'm going to say the average is about 140 or so is about the average. But some contests, like I did a Christmas giveaway with 10 books, and that one had a lot. That was like almost 250. And so, yeah, I would say about 140 signups right about now. And then it's increasing to a little bit each month. So that's like the average. Some months it's like 200. Some months it's a little bit less, which is good feedback anyway, too. Also for the themes, because sometimes they might not like the theme. Maybe they don't want to read Winter Hearts, but they want to read about international love. But
give you a sense of what your next romance should be.
Yeah, that's a good idea, too.
What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about doing their first giveaway? Maybe they're thinking about teaming up with some author friends of theirs to all pool, because sometimes what will happen is authors will all contribute a book and then they'll all get the entries, and it's a way of all growing their lists together. What advice would you have for somebody who's on the verge of signing up for a free KingSumo account?
I would have the advice of looking at your author journey as a very collaborative effort. That the other authors that you know, or other authors that you may have in your circle, or maybe as mentors, they are not your competition at all. Every author that I've ever met has been so willing to help and to collaborate, especially when you go in with a heart of service. Like, you just want to really serve your reader. And as Thomas says, your Timothy. If you can find other people within that are trying to serve your Timothy just like you are, you will be very surprised at how much they are willing to do and how far they're willing to go to collaborate with you. So I would definitely I know it might feel weird to kind of step off the wall and be the first to say, hey, let's do this. Don't be afraid to do it. Anybody, I'm sure you'll be very surprised at how many people will absolutely say yes. And you can always reach out to me also if you have any questions or want just somebody cheerleading you in the corner, because I was very surprised and extremely humbled by the amount of people that I've been able to meet through this and the people that have been helpful.
Yeah, your competition is Netflix. Your competition is Candy Crush. your competition is somebody spending that time on YouTube. Your competition is not other authors. The more people find books that they love, the more reading they want to do. And a lot of folks have such a terrible experience in high school reading books because they only wrote read garbage like The Great Gatsby, and they never got to read anything that they actually enjoyed. That they're not really a reader. That's not their go-to thing to do when they're looking for a good time. And so when you help create readers, when you help boost reading as an activity, the rising tide lifts all of the ships. And if you're in a convoy with other authors and you're all helping each other out, you're going to go farther and faster than the author who's trying to do it alone. So don't see those other authors as your enemy. What you said is a really good point. And the more similar they are to you, the more of an ally they are to you, because they're creating a passion for that kind of writing. If you're the only person in the world writing, Babylonian era romance, it's really hard to get attention. But if there's a whole bunch of authors writing Babylonian era romance, it's a lot easier, right? Look, there's certain eras that are really popular and certain eras that are not. And you want authors like you helping grow the pie of potential readers and helping make it more popular. So yeah, working together really, really helps. And if you're looking for authors to connect to, Authormedia.social, you'll see Kelly Jo Wilson there. You'll find other authors potentially who you can do collaborations with this. In fact, we have a board on Authormedia.social called Collaborations, specifically for organizing this sort of thing. In fact, Kelly, you should probably post one of your giveaways there. Be like, are there any romance authors who want to donate a signed copy of their book? Who knows? You can get some, get some donations there. But if you want to sign up for Kelly Jo Wilson's email newsletter, you can do it at kellyjowilson.com, which is one way to be able to see one of her giveaways if you want to see how she does it. And her podcast is the Christian Romance Podcast, which is available everywhere where you listen to podcasts. Does that have a website, Christian Romance Podcast?
Yes, christianromancepodcast.com.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Kelly Jo Wilson, thank you for joining us today on the Novel Marketing Podcast.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for having me.
Our featured patron is Denise Diana Huddle, author of Stolen Secrets. Denise Diana Huddle, thank you so much for being a patron of the Novel Marketing Podcast. Thank you for your support that helps keep this podcast on the air. I couldn't do it without you and the other very wonderful patrons that support this show every month. And of course, patrons like you get access to the patrons only toolbox and the patrons only bonus episode every month. It's a live Q&A. And so I try to give at least a little back as my way of saying thank you. The Novel Marketing Podcast is a production of Authormedia.com. You can find the blog version of this episode at authormedia.com/455. I'm Tom Sumstadt Jr. saying thank you for listening and live long and prosper.